everyone, it's Chris with the Singles Network Ministries. We've been teaching on a bunch of different videos on how to start a singles ministry. I have a wonderful handout. It's just got some of the things that I've already shared in the videos of how to start a singles ministry. The importance of prayer, the importance of leadership development, and the importance of public relations, and also the type of singles that you're looking for to be on your team. Today we're going to talk about leadership development specifically and go to kind of the next level. So many singles ministries start and after a few months they fail. And it's all because they haven't developed leaders. Well, not all about leadership. If you're not praying, that's pretty important too. But leadership development is critical in order to be successful in your ministry. I have a personal ministry that I lead here in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. And we're just fairly new and we're beginning to build our team. And some of the things that I'm continuing to learn, and that's one thing I love about what I do for a living, is that I'm always in the learning process as well. I'm in the trenches. I can't teach you if I myself are not going through some of the same things. And one of the things that I'm learning and relearning is the importance of having people to use their gifts on the team. When you're developing leaders, you don't want 10 of you. You want all different kinds of personalities and backgrounds. You want different color of people, different singleness of people. Well, depending on what your focus is. One of the problems I find in singles ministries, they're like, oh, we want to reach 30-somethings, but everybody's a 50-something. Or we want to reach people that are divorced, but nobody's divorced on the team. So you have to understand that your leadership team needs to be made up of people that are reaching to the people you want to bring into your ministry. And so we have found, statistically in singles ministry that 20s and 30s typically don't want to hang out with the rest of us. I know. I mean, we're just wonderful. I don't know why. I mean, why would you want to hang out with me? I'm a lot of fun. But, most people don't want to hang out with their mom and dad in singles ministry. We look at that age group as, hey, I'm not single. I'm just not married yet. And that's okay. Because you know what? That's a whole separate type of singles ministry to minister to. 30s are kind of our in-betweens. They're not living at home anymore. They have their own homes. They have a really good job. And they're kind of somewhere in between. A lot of them have never been married. And so yet they're not a 20-something, but yet they're not really a 40, 50-something. And so they are our hardest group to reach. They're our hardest group to minister. And of course, if you find in the churches today, that's the age group that we don't really see at all. And we'll discuss that on another one of the videos and how to reach that 30-something audience. And then there's the 40s, 50s, and plus, which is what a lot of singles ministries are made up today. So first, when you're developing your leadership team, is you have to say, okay, well, what is our ultimate goal? If we want to reach 30-somethings, but we're mainly all 50-somethings, you're going to have to get some 30-somethings on your team. Or you're going to have to get some people of different backgrounds and ethnicities. I believe church should look like heaven. And I embrace to bring as many people of diversity on my team as I can find, as God calls and brings onto the team. Because we know in leadership, depending on what's on your team, is what you're going to reach. So if you have an all-white team, you're pretty much going to get all white people. So if you have some diversity, you have Hispanic, Asian, African American, you're going to reach, or vice versa. If you're an African American ministry and you want to reach white Caucasians, then same thing. You're going to have both colors on your team to reach all the people that God wants you to reach. So that's the first, second, third, fourth thing that I mentioned there, all kind of jumbled together, is the beginning process of leadership development. So now let's talk about specifically, how do I even begin to start? I'm praying, I'm making the church aware of what we're doing. Should I just make a big announcement, Chris, in front of church? Hey, does anybody want to be on leadership? No. That is not how Jesus built his disciples. He did it by relationship. So some of the things that I do in looking for my leadership team is I start praying. I talk to some of the key people in church. And I might even do an initial survey. So for instance, you can go to SurveyMonkey, or you can do a paper survey. But you want to find out, what is the demographics of your church? Who is already in your church that could possibly be on your team? So finding out some of those personalities. You might find someone that's teaching Sunday school, that's single, but has a heart for singles ministry, but has never been in singles ministry. You may find someone that served somewhere else and they're just new to your church and they're looking for a place to plug in. So I would get with the church secretary and someone who maybe knows the congregation pretty well, and start asking them, who do they know in the church that's single that I could talk to about developing this ministry and being on my team. Now you may say, well, Chris, I've asked all these people to come to our event and they won't come, all these singles in our church. And I go, you know what? If a single adult is in your church and they're serving somewhere, leave them alone. There's more than enough that are not doing nothing that you can bring into your ministry. And also all the ones around you in your community. So if there's a single adult who's already leading and serving in your church, leave them there. Let them know the things that you're doing. Invite them. But let them do what God has called them to do, because they've already made it through the ministry. They've already found their wholeness in Christ in the whole church. What you're looking for are those that are going to be on your team. So one is you start praying and saying, God, who is it? Start talking to Sunday school teachers. Start talking to elders and deacons and leaders in the church, greeters in the church. Find out who is in your church that could possibly be an asset to your team. So that would be the first. And then once they've been established, you may just start with 2 or 3. You meet with them individually. You share your passion, what God has put on your heart, and ask them to pray as well. Say, would you please pray about a decision to be on our team? Understand, some of the leaders I started with, I didn't end with. You may have an initial team that prays with you through the beginning stages of your ministry, but they may not be the ones that stay in the long term. A lot of singles leave for all kinds of reasons. We find in singles ministry that healthy single adults get married, healthy single adults move to other parts of the church, and healthy single adults just move. And what you're left with are those that are healthy that feel called to be in singles ministry, and all the unhealthy ones that never leave. And so if you don't constantly have new people coming in and building new leadership and reaching new people, the ministry ends up being a bunch of unhealthy singles and a couple healthy ones that are trying to minister to all of them. So that's why the importance is to constantly bring in new people. I am always listening. Everywhere I go, I'm listening and looking for the next potential leaders of the ministry that I lead, because I do know life changes. And as soon as you get one team, it just seems like they dissolve because you're not constantly building and bringing people into the ministry. It's a flowing, constantly flowing process. As life changes and people get called elsewhere, you need to allow new people to come onto your team. Are they going to be perfect? You're not. So believe me, they're not going to be perfect. Are you going to have some you wish you never asked? I might have some of those myself. Are you going to have some that you wish would stay, and then you find out, oh, Chris, I'm getting married? You're like, great, thanks. You just started serving. Great, wonderful. Ooh, let me throw your bouquet. You know what's cool? There's nothing cooler than to have a married couple who love single adults, who stay a part of your leadership team. They have to be leaders as a married couple. One of the most valuable resources are people who used to be single, who love single adults, but get married. Because how else are we going to learn what married life looks like if we're never around a married couple? So we've talked about, again, how do then you recruit? You pray, you talk, you network, you build a relationship with them, you have them pray, you spend time with them, and then you have them be on the team. Now comes the question is, how often do we meet, Chris? Like, I'm pretty busy. I've got a kid, or I've got, a really demanding job. How often do we meet? Well, in the beginning, you might need to meet every week. You pray, you spend time with each other, you talk about the goals of the ministry, and then you can go to once a month. That's what I have in my ministry. And we meet on the night, we have a weekly Bible study, and we meet 1 hour prior to our Bible study. So we're not asking people to serve yet another night. But I also meet with my leaders individually. I talk to them by phone, by email, by Facebook, any way that I can to communicate. And that's some of the things we're going to talk about in another video, is how do I keep my team? It's one thing to recruit them and build them, but how do I keep them? And how do I care for them? So we'll talk about that next time. So tune in again. This is Chris with the Singles Network Ministries.